I find, and I've always found, that some of my favorite songs I've written are songs that I wrote about things that have happened between me and friends that sound like they're about a relationship, because it's just another type of relationship.
Hey everyone, it's your girl Emily Curl. Welcome back to my virtual studio. We're so glad to have you all watching. Today we're joined by pop singer and songwriter. My first time meeting her. Let's welcome in Livvia. Hi Livvia.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I mean, I'm so excited to meet with you. We have a ton to talk about. And before we dive into all the new music and the new song, I want to take it back a little bit because I was telling you, I just watched the coolest interview with you today, kind of giving us a little bit about your story, what you studied, where you went to school, but I want to hear it from you. You know, growing up, you are, originally from San Francisco. You moved to LA as a teen. You go to UC Berkeley, you study economics, and then you pursue your music career. When did you first decide you're like, okay, I think this music thing is for me and I think this could happen?
Yeah, I think it's different points along the journey. Each of those that you mentioned kind of came about. So when I was really young, I just remember always being very interested in the songwriting process and, just how songs were created, how people came up with them, how the collaboration worked, how they were produced. I would listen to songs in headphones and take one out and listen to what instruments were panned to which side. And I was just always really interested in just all aspects of the process of creating a recorded song. And then whenever I used to listen to music as well that I really loved, I would start visualizing music videos for them and how they could be performed on stage and what kind of sets and everything. So it was the full 360 view of being an artist and a performer that really I gravitated towards from being very young. And but I was also a very academic person. Like you mentioned, I went to Berkeley, I was an econ major. So throughout high school, though, even before that, I luckily lived in California, so I was close enough to LA that I would travel back and forth, and I was collaborating with different writers, different producers, just behind the scenes for a few years. And then after I graduated high school, it was sort of like two roads diverged. I could have just gone straight to college, but then I also had just signed with an agency, and they were, wanted to put me on tour as an opening act for artists that I loved, and so that was kind of there was really no choice. I knew that I could at least start taking some classes online and be touring at the same time. So I think the music industry is one of those places where there's a lot of ups and downs. It'll be really encouraging, and then it'll be like a little bit confusing, and you know how it is. And I think a lot of things are like that with this entertainment industry in general. So it was always nice to kind of have school that I also am very passionate about to focus on at the same time. But yeah, it's been amazing. I think when you asked the question of when did you know this was something that could really happen, because obviously the interest was there for many years. I think it was just that, as things started to snowball, as I started coming to LA to working behind the scenes, the opportunities would just present themselves. And it hasn't been easy, but enough is brought to the table, enough happens that keeps you pursuing.
Yeah. And now, did you grow up in a musical family?
No, not at all, actually.
So were your parents like, okay, let's do this, like let's try it out? How did that look?
Yeah, both of my parents are very creative visually. And I think that also obviously also been imparted in me as well, just because of like the whole music video thing, and all of my visuals I'm very involved in as well. So they're creative, just not necessarily musically creative, but they definitely understood and have always been supportive of my pursuits. Yeah.
Now it's interesting you say that about like no linear path, because I feel like so many times, when people reach out for like advice or, how do I get into this world? It's so interesting. It's like everyone has a different story with that. And I feel like
it's hard to answer that question.
It's so hard to answer the question. Do you have, is there one moment, and again, I want to you've also toured with some amazing people, I want to get into that, but do you have one moment where you're like, oh, this is my breaking point, this is it for me, a real turning point in my career?
I think there have been like various points where it felt like almost like a tipping point in a way, or like a breaking point, but I think they've always just like led to the next level and the next level, and just always wanting to improve your artistry, always wanting to improve your connection with your audience. And so I think, like you mentioned, the tour is definitely being invited to be an opening act for some of my favorite artists were moments where it just felt like, okay, things are really falling into place. It's just how's this happening to me kind of thing. And then also, one of the artists that I toured with was the Jonas Brothers. So happy that they have gotten back together now. So I toured with them right before they broke up, and then I toured with them on the Happiness Begins tour as well when they had just gotten back together, which was just the best thing ever. But I also worked in the studio with Nick, and we released a song that we wrote together and he produced. And I think that was another really huge moment for me because I've always been such a big fan of theirs and of his writing and his artistry in general. But that was just another one of those moments that was just like, oh my gosh, if I can collaborate with him, this is really happening. You know?
Yeah, and it's interesting because, you know, you've said that you're close friends with them, you know, and have been, you know, for quite some time. That I feel like for you, you've probably got to see like an insider view of what the evolution of the Jonas Brothers has looked like. Was there anything that you took away from them personally or their career where you're like, oh, I want to adopt that into my own artistry? Like, that's such a good lesson.
Yeah, I think a lot of things. Luckily, not just them, but all the people that I've toured with and worked with, I've learned different things from them, of course. Just watching the show every night, just watching how people, what they maintain throughout every show and what they will improvise and add, you know, on a given night. But with them specifically, just having been such a big fan and then working together and becoming good friends and all of that, even all the way back from just being a fan watching from a distance, their connection with their audience and how silly and fun they were, and just watching them on stage, it's like you really want to be there with them, and you just feel so welcomed into the fun that they're having, whether it's just watching one of their videos from way back in the day. And I think that's something that really matters to me, is just having a close connection with your audience, because that's what mattered to me as a fan, and just letting people behind the scenes. It was really, really important to me.
First off,
having fun with everybody.
How much do you miss, because I miss going to shows so much. How much do you miss that part?
No, I miss it so much. I never really took time off from performing and recording. I've had 2 Corona, quarantine recording sessions that were very, very safe. Like, already when you record, there's glass between you and the producer, so it was totally fine. That didn't feel too abnormal. I think the biggest thing was we shot a music video in quarantine, and everybody was tested. A lot of production is starting to open up again, so people were tested when they arrived, and everybody was very responsible. Like, even the cast that we used, everybody wore masks except for the cast, and the cast that we used were like friends of friends, so we all knew each other and knew that everybody was like taking it really, really seriously. And everybody was just so grateful to have the experience to be together and have some kind of semblance of normalcy and just like being back to work, but also just like making new friends and just having time to actually be in person, that it was just the best experience.
And now tell us, you said it's like a mini movie.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about how did that creative process come to life?
Yeah, so I actually directed it and wrote it as well. So I have been always very, very involved in my music videos in the past, but this one was, I finally took the reins and just kind of did it myself. My stylist and my really good friend, one of my closest friends, also brought his other clients in to be actors in it. And so our cast is incredible. It's Skylar Samuels from Scream Queens and American Horror Story. She's just in so many things. Chris Pang from Crazy Rich Asians and Palm Springs. There's Michelle Celine Ang from 13 Reasons Why, Lucas Gage from Euphoria, there's Derek Augustine and Emily Tosta there.
A fire cast.
I got everybody, I listed them all right because there's 6 plus me, yeah. And they're amazing, and we all, like I said, just made friends, and we had the best time together. And I had never fully directed a video. I'd never been given the title of director, but I was always very, very involved. So I would always find locations and cast and set. So
you're low-key producing it as well.
It's so beautiful, but it's also the subject matter is kind of dark enough too. So it's a great juxtaposition, because like I said, it's a murder mystery story. So it was really, really fun. So there's a 3-minute scene and then a 3-minute song. So it's a 6-minute little movie music video. And how
cool to have a team that you trust, because I think with anything you do, it's that is one of the most important parts that people sometimes don't talk about as often, because if you have your DP that you love, that you can trust, you have your stylist, everyone on board, it's that's when you really make magic.
Everybody was passionate about the project, and it shows. Like, you can really tell. So it was fun.
And now you've been making music now for over 10 years, right?
Yes.
So a long time, which I'm sure is like, you know, like as you just go through years, new experiences, you grow into a different person. I feel like I'm a new person after this year. I feel like we all are, honestly.
Yes.
Do you feel like the stage you're at in your life, like, do you feel like you're making stuff that feels most like you?
Well, the song, actually, Monster is the song. You can't go straight to the video past the song, of course, but it's, yeah, so it's called Monster, and I wrote it last November, actually. And I always thought it would be really fun to put it out around Halloween and just kind of get it started at least there. It's really not like a Halloween specific song at all. It just
But it's perfect for like spooky season. Yeah.
It does. It really does. And so yeah, I think with that song, it was a part of a writing camp that I did in Nashville. And of all the songs in that writing camp, like that one really stood out to me when we wrote it, because the subject matter of that song it's basically about somebody who's trying to make up stories about you and act as if you're the one who's creating the issue when really it's them. And so it's kind of about like, it's like pulling the curtain back and really seeing the truth. And you don't have to expose this person, like the truth will come out, basically.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
I mean, no, when I heard it, it's like, I feel like it's so relatable because we've all been in that situation where it's like, it's actually not me, it's you.
I know. I find, and I've always found, that some of my favorite songs I've written are songs that I wrote about things that have happened between me and friends that sound like they're about a relationship, because it's just another type of relationship, whether it's like a romantic relationship or a friendship. But really close friendships, I think, sometimes have a bigger emotional impact than a romantic relationship.
Oh my God, a friend breakup is like some of the worst like pain you could ever feel, honestly.
Yeah, I think sometimes even if a song has a darker subject matter, even if this song wasn't as empowering and positive as it is, because it has a darkness, but it is still empowering, and you're on the other side of the conflict, kind of. You're past it. But even like more sad songs, I feel like can sometimes be comforting, just because you're like, oh, somebody else experienced this too.
Oh, for sure.
So,
1000%. Okay, so Livvia, before we let you go, we do a couple social questions that we use for TikTok, sometimes Instagram, so I love that you love TikTok. Quick rapid fire. What was your very first concert?
Hilary Duff.
Oh my.
Way back.
A fire one. Wow, what a good first one. What was the best compliment you've ever received?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I was doing a rehearsal and I had been sick, so I like missed the first few days of rehearsal. So it was like just the band, and they were using my like vocals from the actual songs just to like play along to. And I came in and I sang through the set. And the music director, who was like huge, and I was really nervous to work with him because he works with like, you know, Demi Lovato, Katy Perry, like tons of people. And at the end, he was like, I only just realized that you were actually singing. I was like, so that was probably the favorite thing I've ever heard.
Oh my God, I would love that too.
Yeah.
What does the world need more of right now?
Gosh, where do we start?
I know.
Empathy. I mean, I think so much is just the selfishness of like, I don't need to wear my mask, or I don't whatever. And it's like, okay, even if you don't worry about catching it yourself, like it's about protecting other people.
1000%.
So that's what I'm just shocked at the lack of that actually right now. So
honestly, agreed. Totally agree. Last question is, what's the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself during this COVID quarantine season of life?
How used to being by myself I already am. Because I'm an only child, and I was always like to school and music, and yeah, I was always traveling, but I mean, it's a lot of like hotels alone and, you know, doing work by myself. Like a lot of this is, I'm kind of just like, this is sort of normal for me anyway.
And do you prefer that? Like, do you enjoy staying at home? Maybe not quite this insane, but
you know, I've always been kind of like, I gotta get out there, like I gotta actually go, you know, because I'm working so hard, and I would have school and I would have music, and so it's kind of a bummer because I'm like, now I can't even, in like the rare times I would be out and about, I can't.
So true, so true. Very fair. Well, Livvia, thank you so much. So great to get to know you, to finally meet you.
You too.
So excited about Monster. Everyone watching, watch the music video, stream the song on iHeartRadio, and hopefully we'll see you again soon in real life next time.
Yes, I want to give you a hug.
Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to stream Livvia's new song Monster, out now on iHeartRadio. We'll see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Did you like that video? You can check out more over here. And don't forget to subscribe to iHeart right here. And if you're already a longtime fan, make sure you ring the bell down below so you don't miss a single video. Bye guys.